Hello, YouTubers. Alaska Prepper here. So as you can see, next to me here is Erin.scott. Oh, wait a minute. The real
The
Erin.scott.
real.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a few videos back, I dedicated about a minute or so of that video to let you all know that Erin.scott's channel, her original channel, Erin.scott, was hacked and she lost control over that channel. And I wanted to bring her on because I've been subscribed to Erin's channel for before I was even doing YouTube channels. And I really want to be able to allow those of you that are in the Alaska Prepper community who were subscribed to her old channel to know that she has a new channel. And for those of you that are not subscribed and maybe never came across one of Erin's videos, to go over there and check it out. And if you like it, by all means, subscribe and support her work. Because Erin's channel, I would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Erin, it's not a channel that's just one thing. It's a lot of different things. Erin does homesteading. I think we're going to get into this later on, but Erin, I believe that your profession, your discipline was engineering, right?
Yes.
You had a discipline in engineering? Okay, so she does a lot of solar stuff where she can teach you how to do solar. She also does a lot of news. She does financial charting, be it the stock market or be it cryptocurrencies. So she's all over the place, and I believe that she has a little bit to offer to anyone. So anyone watching this, go ahead and check out her channel. But first of all, the main reason I want to have you on here is so that you can get to know her a little bit and decide whether you want to go over there and check her channel out, because I think there's a wealth of information over there. And it's like I've always said, Erin, I don't know if you've ever heard me say this before, but I always say that there's no such thing as a bad channel. And this is why I'm going to say that. Because even if you don't agree with 90% of what someone of what a content creator is teaching or saying in their channel, that 10% could be a game changer for you. If you can take a little bit of good out of anything, it's better for you. A lot of people sometimes get stuck on the bad stuff, and they throw everything out. You know, they throw everything out with the laundry water, and they don't get to benefit of that little bit of good that could have come out of that conversation that they could have had with the content creator. So before I forget, because you guys know that I'm pretty senile, if I don't mention this towards the end of the video, I'm going to leave all of the information for Erin in the description below. So you guys can go ahead and click on it, go check her channel out and support her if you're willing to listen and you have an open mind. So hello, Erin. I know that was a long intro, but if you've been watching this channel for too long, you know that this guy here likes to talk.
Yeah.
And
Hey.
sometimes I don't
Hey.
know.
We're both on that same page. We both
So,
like to run the mouth, but that's because we
okay.
love people. We love to help
Yes.
people, and my sayings are very similar to yours, Rudy. Is listen to all and follow none. I have a more, I want to say, I guess, a higher positivity perspective on it. I like yours, but I generally say listen to all and follow none, because most people are about 80 or 90% right on most things, and then there's always going to be a few things that you're going to disagree with, but you don't necessarily want to walk away from it, because
Sure.
there's always learning experience there. And so listen to all, follow none. That's one of my biggest statements. So Rudy, there's a lot that's happened, and if you give me just a few minutes here, I'll kind of condense it. I know you said you had a few questions that you wanted to ask me, but I think I could do that fairly quickly here.
Let me break in real quick, Erin. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say on what you said last about some people, don't like to hear it. Man, I lost my train of thought. I told you I'm senile. My kids say it all the time. They're like, Dad, I told you. I was like, I don't remember. So go ahead, Erin. Go ahead and start. Take a few minutes to to say what you want to say, and then I have a few questions that hopefully will get the viewers to know who you are a little bit better. All right.
All right.
The
So
floor is yours.
I think I'm gonna answer that first. I think I'm gonna answer that in my introduction of who I am. For those who don't know me, you and I met almost 2.5 years ago, because my channel was the big one, so to speak, bigger than yours, and you were up and coming, and you wanted to interview me to kind of build your channel. And that's called a collaboration. We do that, and that's great. That's building community, and that's what we're all about. Remember that building community thing, okay? Because that is critical. When I talk building community or educating people, that's huge, and that's what the powers that want to be don't want us to do. So let's step back. Yes, I was a surveyor and a civil engineer for almost 25 years, and in 2010 I got a wake-up call. That was, oh God, the housing market is collapsing, and my career field went out the window. So I've got another little saying, and the saying is this: people don't get red-pilled until it hits them in the wallet. Well, in 2010, I owned multiple properties, mortgages on them and such, and I got red-pilled because all of a sudden I lost my job and I couldn't make all these payments. So I had to re-engineer my world, and I started doing it from the ground up, and I basically said, okay, I understand finances, I understand structural integrity when it comes to your personal situation. So I started looking at everything, and I'm like, oh my God, this system is so fragile. This system is so fragile. Our power grid system, our just-in-time food delivery system, and I can go down a list of things. Well, for the first almost 5 years after 2010, my focus was, this thing's coming down. We're gonna rebuild from the ground up. Let me go ahead and start there. Well, I was a little quick. I was like 5 years ahead of time. 5 years ahead of time. So I said, let me go ahead and rebuild. So I started in a local community, and I started trying to build a community, but I realized that most people weren't getting it. They weren't there yet. They hadn't understood how fragile everything is. They hadn't been red-pilled. The information to change their world hadn't happened yet. So I said, okay, let me start putting it up, and whoever wants it can digest it at their own pace. And that's when I started my YouTube channel back in 2014, when I started posting. And my intent then was to just help people with their immediate systems, their power systems, their water systems, and all that. So I started posting a lot of videos on what I was doing to change my world, so that I knew that if grid went down, or as we're seeing now, the just-in-time food system is starting to have problems and those kind of things. And I was like, well, you know what? The best way to do it is to grow your own food. And I've always been a gardener, Rudy. I have always grown something because I just love doing it. Well, all right, so I start incorporating that, and I start doing these videos. But over those 5 or 6 years, from 2010 to 2015 and 16 and 17, this chica right here is re-educating herself on the financial system and the political system and trying to figure out what's going on. But by the time you and I met, that's when I had, I got done. I wasn't done. I'm still doing it. But I started on my channel. I started sharing the things that I was starting to understand about the bigger world around us, the financial world. That's where I'm doing the charts on the financial systems, the Dow, the S&P, the gold, the silver, and some of the cryptos when I screw around with that stuff. The point was, everything that I was trying to show people by talking about geopolitical things, by talking about economic things, and geological things like the Maunder minimum, and us going into colder times and not warmer times, that we're not going into global warming. All of this was still for one reason. And that one reason was to give each and every person who watched my channel the power and confidence to have the motivation to change their personal world. To go, okay, I need to stop doing this. Okay, we talk about the Monsanto and Bayer and all these other large corporations poisoning our food. Okay, well, maybe you want to start growing your own food. I go into this and see, as you made a mention to, the reason I do this on my channel is I'm trying to tie the big picture together, because when you compartmentalize a piece of information, I hate to say this, but unfortunately our public education system has left most people unable to connect the dots. Most people don't connect the dots. And so for my channel, what I basically do is connect the dots. And then I give people solutions for navigating through what's coming, what you know is coming and stuff. So everybody has their position, and like Alex Jones. That guy is one of those guys that comes in and grabs your shoulders and shakes you really hard and wakes you up. Right. You are the next step. Rudy, you come in and say, okay, you need to start getting prepared. For me, I'm the next step beyond that. I'm going, okay, the preparations are going to last this long. You can store a whole bunch of food. It's going to last this long. But the changes that are coming are going to be longer, so you need to look forward even further. So sure. We each have our role. You have a role. You have a very good role, because you're getting people ready to start handling some of the change. But the problem is, and this is the reason my channel was taken down, I'm pretty sure, is this, Rudy. I help people discern through the bullshit. And I've gotten into some of the political, some of the economic stuff, and not only do I give you solutions for how to work through things, but I also go, you know what? There's a storyline, like this whole beer bug. We'll talk about the beer bug thing. Because at first, everybody thought, oh God, people are dying like crazy in China, And I'm going, okay, I'm down with that. Let me get ready. I even got them sitting right here. Those N95 masks. I was the first one out there. And but I'm teachable. And what that means is when new information comes in that tells you your previous understandings and your previous beliefs are incorrect, that you need to change your way of thinking. They don't want that. They don't want you to decipher through the BS. So I've done some pretty hard-hitting videos. I mean, some very seriously in-your-face videos that you don't see on many of the other YouTube channels. And I think that's why they took it down, because it was made to look like some kind of hacker that wanted to come in and just steal the channel. And if it wasn't for some other things that have been going on in my world, because we know NSA records everything. We know CIA, and I'm saying them, NSA, CIA, that they are in the New World Order, one world government kind of thing. And, okay, so wrap all that up into a nice little present for you. Each and every one of us can't do anything about them. We don't have the ability. Right. We don't. Because because we have been divided and we are compartmentalized all across this country and across the world. So our only chance at navigating through the really, really rough times that are coming is to take charge of our own lives.
Right.
So, Rudy, that's what I want to do. Is I want to make everybody as free as possible in their way of thinking, and as
Sure.
free as possible in how they manage their own world in food production, water, solar, and all of those things. So I give on my channel, I give away so much information that technically you're not supposed to do that, because you know what, you got to be licensed to install solar. I'm like, no, it's easy, you can do it, just learn a little bit. Oh, you got to have permission and license to do this with communications. And I'm like, no, 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 learn a little bit about it. Maybe you have to have permission to transmit on a ham radio, but
Right.
when there's an emergency, you need to know what's going
Know
on.
how to use it. Right.
Exactly. So, Rudy, that's my goal. Sum it all up. I think I got hit hard by, I don't, not the deeps, but the state, or the corporations, because you can see, and I know you read the headlines too. You read the headlines about the draconian BS that they're trying to do to us. And
Well, Aaron, part of my philosophy is, similar to yours as far as giving people information. And what I like to say is, to my viewership, is there are many things we cannot control, but we can only work on those things that we can control. So, a lot of my channel focuses on food storage and having backups to systems that you need in case they become unavailable. Because let's say, for example, I won't even use food in this case. Let's say the electricity shuts down. Can you control that? No, you cannot. If it shuts down, there's nothing you can do but wait for it to hopefully be restored. So what can you do to regain that control of being able to have electricity in your home? So then I go through the things that I do. And I always tell people, I'm not perfect, but this is what I do. And if you watch what I do, it may not fit you, but it may give you some ideas on what you can do for your situation. Because I live in Alaska. I don't live in Arizona. I don't live in Arkansas. I don't live in New Mexico or in Mexico, New Mexico, where it's warmer. So you're not going to go out. If you live in Florida, you're not going to go out and get a wood stove because I got one. But it gets you thinking, hey, what would I do if I lost electric power and it lasted a week? Do I have a way to keep the food that I have from spoiling? Do I have a way to keep the lights on? And that gets people thinking. And even if they just go out and buy a cheap little $350 generator because that's all they can afford, guess what? It's better than what they had before, which was just hope that the electricity would come back on during a specific period of time. So that's what I concentrate on. I like to show people what I do. Everything that you see me do on my channel is what I do.
yeah,
I don't tell people I'm doing this and then I don't go ahead and do it. No, it's
yeah,
what I
exactly.
do. And a lot of people criticize that, but I tell my audience, it's okay to criticize, but provide a solution for what you're criticizing. That way we can learn as a community and not just criticize. That's one of my pet peeves is when someone leaves a criticism, I'll go back there and say, well, can you tell me what you would do? And then a lot of times what will happen is they either don't respond or they'll delete their comment, which is fine. But I like to give people ideas through what I do. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not, by any means am I perfect. But I think that if we at least allow people to hear why we're doing these things, it might get into their head and you can plant a seed. And you know what? I like to say that the more people that are prepared, the better that it is for you. Because it's going to be the less amount of people knocking on your door, right?
Yep.
So don't be shy to spread the word. One of my sayings is reach one, teach one, and repeat. And if everyone just reached one, taught one, and then they showed that person how to repeat that process, boy, I'll tell you what, Aaron, this would be a much better world. Unfortunately, that's not how it is. But it's like you said, when people get hit in the wallet, they start to wake up. And another thing is when people get hit in the stomach because they're hungry, they start to wake up. And I think that during this crisis that we're going through now, this health issue that we're going through, I think a lot of people are waking up. Why? Because they're stuck at home. What are they doing at home? They're watching YouTube channels and they're on the internet. And I'm hoping that during this time, a lot of people will maybe click on the right channels and start to say, hey, what is going on here? Is this really what's, going on? And hopefully wake up a little bit or enough to continue to do their own research, right? Do their own research. So I think that it's important what we do. I started doing this because I was bored. I think the date was November 19th of 2017, I think it was. I remember exactly what year. It's about 2.5 years ago. But I was on a walk with my dog, or my daughter's dog. I went on a walk and it was, winter. And I was like, you know what? And I'm thinking about prepping and stuff like that because I've been a prepper before I started doing a YouTube channel. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a YouTube channel just to show people how to prep. And I took like a 10-minute video of me walking, telling them, hey, this is my name. This is why I prep. I would like to start this channel. This is what I'm going to cover. And after that is history. I have to say that it's really been a blessing for me to do what I'm doing because I've made so many great friends through YouTube. And like you said, community is very important. And I've been very lucky to make some really, really good friends that I consider lifelong friends now, through doing this. So it's been a great thing. Let me see. So, man, you know what? You covered the first two questions I was going to ask you.
I told you I would.
You know what? I want to ask you a fun question, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want. So Erin, if you and I were back in high school and we were in the same grade, junior or sophomore or whatever, who was Erin back then? Were you the kind of person that hung out with the nerdy guys? Were you the popular one, or were you the
I oh no, high school was a horror trip for me. I didn't like high
Was it
school.
really?
Yeah, I did. There, I only got along with the other the nerds, really intelligent. It was not a social thing for me. No, I did not know. High school.
You didn't have a very good experience in high school then.
No,
What about
no.
college?
That's why I homeschooled my children. My three babies, they didn't go to a public school because it was so horrible for me. I was like, this is not happening to my children.
What about college? Did you have a better experience in college? Did you go to brick and mortar college, or did you do a alternative type?
No. Yeah, exactly. So one of the things I get into is the difference in, I explain in my videos is that there's a difference in education between the elite, smart people and the public education. Public
Sure.
education is put together for one reason and one reason only, to program the masses to do what they're
To
told.
work.
To work and do what they're told. Public
Sure.
education is to do that. So I realized that, and so I took my children, homeschooled them, and for me, when it went to my education above my high school, yes, I did take courses in community college, but the courses I took were specific for one thing only, and that was for the engineering. I did not go get a 4-year engineering degree. I did it the old-fashioned way. See, the movies tell you this, and I explain this, is that, in the real world, when you want to educate somebody, you need to have a one-on-one connection. That's why they tell you in Star Wars, You need a master and apprentice. You need you need the master and the Padawan, because that is the only way that somebody who succeeded at something can verify that the student is learning. Because the more students you get in a group, the less you can focus on each one, and the more that fall by the wayside. That's why classroom sizes have gotten bigger. And what you find out is all the elite structures, like the Freemasons. Let's take the Freemasons. They are all about
Wait a minute, Aaron. So your higher education was more of a one-on-one type deal.
Exactly. So let me get into that. Let me get into that, Rudy, so that people can wrap their heads around this. In most of all of the major trades, your electricians, your plumbers, your surveyors, and such, they are all done via master and apprentice.
Sure.
You have
like journey.
Right. Bang! You got it. That's even in the liberally absconded. Hold on. Bear with me. The unions. The word I'm looking for. The liberally absconded unions. They still have that system set up in place, because it is the only way that you can verify that a student learns. Right. It is critical. So they tell you this. So I was a surveyor. I had my party chief that was guiding me as I was working my way up. And that's what I did in my career. In my career, I moved up the ranks. Now, yes, I did go get certain classes in a community college, but I never went and got a 4-year degree. Now, a testament to that, the very last engineering job that I got in the middle of 2008, while the markets were crashing, and held it until 2010 when it really got bad, I took a job in an engineering firm that had more than 20 offices up and down the East Coast. There were guys that had worked there for 15 to 20 years. They had seniority. But because not only was I teachable, not only was I not compartmentalized, and by this time in my career I had learned how to do a whole lot of things in that engineering field. I could do a lot. I made myself valuable. Because I had learned that, I was one of the very last ones to get laid off. As this engineering company is collapsing, they're laying people off, I managed to hold on to a position for a year and a half, while men that were in the company for 12, 15 years ahead of me, that's not how it's supposed to work, right?
Well, you know what, Aaron? I've heard a lot of I don't know what to call them, public speakers or advisors say this when asked, what's the best thing that I can do to prepare for a recession? And what I've heard them say is, and I agree with it, I heard them say is, make yourself your job's most valuable employee. Go above and beyond, never say no. If you have to stay late and don't complain. Do everything you're told to the best of your ability. And when it comes time to start giving those pink slips, you may not get one. And if you do, like in your case, you get one towards the end.
All right, Rudy, I want to take you to the next step, because this is something. And once you hear me say this, I think you're going to agree with this. We're moving out of the job paradigm.
We are.
As this financial collapse continues, the only people who are going to navigate it and or survive or thrive through it are going to be the entrepreneurs, the ones that can figure out how to make themselves valuable no matter what. They got a skill set, they can do something that everybody needs.
It's going to be like a new renaissance.
Exactly, that's where we're going. We're going back individual, not collective.
Right.
The collective is failing. It is the individual that's going to hold their own. So, skill set. So, yes, that got me through that first wave, but it will not get you through this wave. And therefore, anybody who wants to make it through and be able to create stuff, do stuff, be involved, and make return on their labor. I don't want to call it an investment. I don't want to call it money, but to get something for what they do, needs to have skill sets that are, for all intents and purposes, are lost in this country because all of our manufacturing jobs were sent overseas 25 years ago. So you need to learn how to use tools. You need to learn how to build things, make things, grow things, do things. You need to become valuable,
more self-reliant.
Self-reliant for your own sustainability, but to become a worthy member of your community, you have to become valuable for what you know.
Sure.
So
sure, and that's where knowing, I am definitely not a master of anything, but I can dabble in a lot of things. I built a house, never built a house before, but guess what? It's still standing, and it keeps heat. It has plumbing, and if someone here who was a master builder would come and look at my house, he may point out several different things, but it's one of those things that I decided that I needed to do in order to be able to get ready for, as you say, and I say too, for what's coming. All right, it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to hold heat. It has to have some plumbing and have the amenities that we require, in order to be able to have a somewhat, okay standard of living, you could say.
Ergo, why I was putting up my original videos on those systems. My solar hot water panel, my wood stove, and my solar electric, all of those things. That's why I was putting up those videos, is because of exactly what you're talking about. I wanted to do it so that, all right, so Rudy, there's a question. I was up in Montana for quite a few years because I moved there in a strategic relocation. And then come to find out we're going to get colder, going to under minimum. I'm like, okay, I need to grow food. I need to go further south. But going up there, I needed to re-engineer things. And as you're saying, have control over your system. There was a question that I would ask in the prepper group, because I was just going to prepper groups, and they would ask me to come in and speak because, well, I got a little bit of knowledge. They'd ask me to come in and speak, and I would go into these prepper groups, and sometimes there would be 8 or 10 people, and sometimes there'd be 40 or 50 people, and I'd go into these prepper groups, and they'd so there was a question that I would ask them. I would go in there and I'd go, okay, an event happens. Boom, something happens. Now we know what it is. We now know what that event is. The event was a fake beer bug. You got to go stay home. Okay, we know what that is. But I didn't know that 5 years ago. And the question was, you got to go home, and for whatever reason you can't leave. Now that word is called quarantine. But at that point in time I didn't know. I just said you can't leave. And you have to stay at your property for X amount of time. How long can you survive or thrive in your home if you don't have any of the public services? The grid goes down, the water goes down, the just-in-time food systems go down, all of those things go down. That was my question. I said, y'all don't answer to me. You have to answer to yourself.
Sure.
How long? You got to go home today, and you cannot leave your property. How long? How long? And what I basically said is, you need to reevaluate everything in your home to get that answer up as long as possible.
Sure.
So for me, 6 months is good. When you start prepping and you're buying food and you're putting stuff away, that gets you up in the 3 to 6 month time frame. And sometimes if you buy enough storable food and water and stuff, maybe you get up to a year. But see, Rudy, buddy, you and I know this. This ain't just going to last a year or 2 or 3. This is a permanent change. So when I say that, Rudy, when I say that, we need to think
Just
about,
like Aaron,
huh?
just like my neighbor's got a big diesel truck and he's passing by. I didn't want him to be over your voice.
No.
Okay, he's gone.
Don't hear it. Don't hear it. Don't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear it? Okay, it was really loud over here, so I didn't want to mess up what you were saying.
No. Your microphone didn't pick it up. So the question is this. Okay, now we need to change our thinking entirely. Okay, it's not a ugly 3 to 6 months and then we go back to normal like we did in 2010 or in 2002 or in 1987 or whatever. What we're realizing is the entire structure of our entire global financial system is irrevocably ending. That structure is ending.
The thing is that a lot of people will not admit that to themselves, no matter how much proof is in front of their eyes. So, and that's why I try to concentrate on showing people, listen, let's try to get through this, and then on the other side, go to other channels that can show you how to be more self-reliant, like gardening channels. I am definitely not the guy to show you how to grow potatoes. I'm not that guy because I've never done it before. I actually have some things. I actually ordered a few things, and I'm going to try my hand at doing a small-scale gardening this year so that I can learn. I think we still have another year or so to be able to fail, but then after that, it's going to get pretty serious, and you're going to have to know how to do these things. So I actually started with one of those. You're going to laugh at me, okay, Aaron? I actually started with one of those small arrow gardens that you have inside that grows lettuce and tomatoes and stuff. But you know what? It's a great thing to get for someone who's never gardened, because when you plant that, it's so simple, and it's pretty exciting when you see food growing out of it. In like 1 month, you're already clipping food out of it, and like, wow, this is not that hard. So let me take it to the next level. But I get what you're saying. And correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is that in the times that we are at now, just being a prepper is not good enough. You're going to need to be more self-reliant. And what I mean by self-reliant is be able to provide for yourself those things that you cannot attain in a way that you are used to attaining it. And those things that you still cannot provide for yourself, have a community around you that you can barter with and trade with. Because if I know how to make beer, and you know how to make cheese, and you like cheese, and you like beer, and I like cheese, then we can do a little trading, right? It's not self-reliance. Self-reliance is not the same as self-sustainable.
I want to hug you. You got it right. Oh, my buddy, you got it right. We need.
And I also like to tell people that self-reliance and self-sustainability are not the same thing. Sustainability means that you can make everything yourself. If you need a shovel, you can make it. If you need a pan, you can make it. No, you can't do that. But self-reliance means that you can provide for yourself most of the things you need with help from a community, and so forth. So like, for example, if you're self-reliant, it's okay if you run out of tomato seeds, because your neighbor, 3 miles down, He might have grown a big crop of tomatoes the year prior, and he or she may have some seeds to trade with you. So there's always something you're going to need. You can't prep for everything. With all of the preps that I have, I don't feel that I'm very well prepared if the lights went out for good tomorrow, right? Because there's always something that you're not thinking about. Because a lot of people tend to prep for what they see, and a lot of people sometimes have tunnel vision. Like some people may only prep for hurricanes, and that's it. But you only need certain things for hurricanes. Some people may prep for, taking it to the extreme for nuclear war, which I don't know why you would prep for a nuclear war, but I've seen prepper shows where they're like, yeah, I'm prepping for nuclear war. I'm like, why? But, from one extreme to the other. So yeah, I think being prepared is just like, we talked about this before, it's just a gateway to self-reliance.
Yeah.
That's what being prepared is. It's not an end-all, be-all. It's just a vehicle that's going to take you from point A to point B. And then hopefully by the time that you get to point B, you'll be able to get all of those things that you had already prepped just by doing it yourself instead of buying it at a store.
So Rudy,
that's kind of like my philosophy on prepping.
Yeah. So Rudy, I've already said, I've done a couple of videos on it, and I basically said preppers are the first stage of homesteaders. A homesteader is somebody who is self-reliant, and so I'm not going to say I actually agree with your explanation of those two definitions, but if you rely on yourself. However, you do have a spectacular point, even though the definition was off a little bit. I absolutely believe, I know you're correct in understanding that we need a community. And the reason we need communities is because that's the way we're designed. We're designed to have a whole bunch of little ant hills, a whole bunch of little people in an ant hill. Because I've said it 1,000 times on my videos, Rudy. I can do everything I need to out here. I've learned, I have the heart and the knowledge and the wherewithal to do whatever I need to do out here. What I can't do is stay awake 24/7, 365.
That's right. Good point.
So, and that's worst case scenario. That's the absolute worst case scenario when we get into a potential, and I do believe that's going to evolve in many areas. Not maybe all of them, but many areas are going to see a Mad Max situation. So, what I'm saying is, I'm a pretty smart chick. I can go out there and weld, I can grow things, I can do this and that, but I got to get some damn sleep. I got to be able to lay my head on a pillow and get some sleep, which means at some point or another, I have to put my trust into another human being to cover my backside so I can get some rest. So that's community. Community is extremely important, my buddy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the sad thing is that a lot of people, and I've heard this from a lot of people, will tell you, I live in an apartment building and I don't know who my neighbor is, and he lives one wall next to me.
Get to know him.
So, hey, Erin, how long have we been on? Do you know?
45.
I don't have a watch on.
45.
What's that?
We're 45
minutes. Okay. All right. So listen, Erin, I'm going to try to keep this under an hour, but the good news is that we can do this again, and maybe I can come onto your channel, or you can come on back to my channel again later on. But definitely would like to have you again. But is there anything that you want to say to close up? I have a few more questions for you, but I want to save them till almost the end. They're not I got you questions or anything like that, but is there anything else you'd like to say? Well, I mean, we can go on for hours, and that's one of the things that attracted me to your channel, is that you are not just a one thing channel. Like my channel, I'm a prepper channel. Okay, I try to put a little bit of news in there once in a while that has to do with reasons why you want to prep. For example, I just actually the video that I'm going to do on this is going to come out before I post this video. So, for example, I went to Costco to buy some beef to stock my freezer full of beef because, as we know, some people may not want to admit it, but the truth is the truth. We are going to be going into a major, not only beef shortage, but a major protein shortage. So I went to Costco and they they have a limit on how much meat you can buy. I've never in my life gone through that. First time ever. So
There,
so
there, there's a big area there behind you that you could put you a little calf or something.
oh, trust me, I've got plans on doing goats, rabbits, chickens, all that stuff. You know, so like I said on my channel, I'll put in a few news articles or something like that when they have to do with prepping, right? So I'm like a one-stop shop just for pretty much prepping related items. But your channel, not only do you do like homesteading and you do solar stuff and you do gardening and you have chickens, there's a lot of things that you cover in your channel, which I personally, I couldn't do that. I know I know that you're a one-stop shop as far as your operation goes, meaning that like my operation, I have a phone and a computer, right? So we don't have a crew of people. Just a second, Aaron.
I don't have that either.
My wife doesn't realize that I'm doing a live interview right now, so she's like waving at me. Yes. Okay, babe. I'll come later on in about an hour or so. I'm gonna get in
Hey,
trouble.
Rudy, give her a big squeeze for me. Say Aaron said give you hugs.
I'm gonna be in trouble for that. uh, but anyways, like I say, your channel is very diverse. All right, and I was thinking about this. Some people will, unfortunately, some people will tune off of this video, of this conversation we're having, just because they probably heard one thing they might not like or another thing they might not like. But and that's what I encourage people to do. Don't do that. If you're watching a video where you're trying to learn something, if you hear something that you don't like, don't tune off right away, because you may be missing something that can really help you. I remember someone leaving a comment once on one of my videos saying, I'm not going to say who the YouTuber is, but I really like this YouTube channel. I really like it. I don't agree with what this person says all of the time. Sometimes he's said stuff that made me want to unsubscribe, right? But I still watch it because I've learned a lot of good things from his channel. So what do? I take the good from his channel, I use it, and the stuff I don't agree with, that's all right. That can stay right there where it is. So like I was saying, that's one of the reasons that I was attracted to your channel, is because you do a lot of little things. And I remember you doing that video about your little generator, and it just happens that I have the exact same one. I think I bought it about a month after you got yours, because it's not easy. It's not easy getting generators cheap up here in Alaska. They're probably about twice as much as what they're down in the lower 48. But once in a while, when you find something on sale, that's a great deal. Even if you don't need it right then, you have to get it, because you don't know when you're going to be able to find it again. So, Aaron, I'm going to do this is not original to me, all right? But I've seen some other interviewers do this in other channels, and I want to do what's called a speed round, all right? And I'm going to mention something, and I just want you to take less than 1 second to tell me what it makes you think about.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing that I want to say is, what do you think about this health crisis that we're going through right now? Now, try to keep it to one sentence or less. You know what I mean by the health crisis?
Yeah. Two words. False flag.
Okay. The dollar, or the Federal Reserve note.
Psychologically dying.
Good point. So people are starting to lose their confidence.
Yes.
I agree. I lost my confidence a long time ago. That's why I like to buy real stuff. A lot of people, when I do a video, they'll say AP. I remember somebody left a comment, and I did a video in reply to that comment. They're like, AP, stop buying stuff already. You've got enough. And I'm like, look,
No.
I've got a stack of dollar bills here. Would you rather save
I don't
this
want
or
this
save?
paper. I want stuff.
Yeah. Would you rather say, and actually that's part of the video I'm doing today with the beef that I bought. Would you rather hang on to this pile of dollar bills, or would you rather have this in the freezer? Which one of these is going to feed you if you can't attain this in the store anymore? So okay, so stock market.
It is a psychological distraction from reality.
And I like to say that the stock market is completely fake.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
that's what I always tell people. It's completely fake.
It's a signaler. It
I mean,
signals people
you know,
to feel. It's a here feel good.
sure.
Signal feel good.
I used to, you know what? The stock market, my definition of the stock market has changed in the last couple of months. And I'm going to tell you why. And you're a chartist. So, tell me if you agree with what I say. I used to tell people that when you read a chart, like a financial chart, right? I used to tell people that things happen in cycles. And you got Fibonacci, and you can take that out, and you can measure it and give you a good idea as to where this is going to go. Well, what does the Fibonacci scale measure? It kind of like measures the way that nature does things, the cycles in which nature acts, right? And I used to tell people, when you look at the stock market or a financial chart, you're not just watching the price of things going up or down. What you're really measuring are people's emotions. And because people's emotions is what makes those lines go up and down. And then I would say that is why I know that this. I was going to say that is why I know that this market, taking away the fundamentals, putting the fundamentals aside, that's how I know that this market is due for a big fall. Because
and that just turned. I think we're going to start to see that over the next week or so. We've had the one leg down. We have had a bounce, so we're looking for that next one. Yeah.
well, so I don't believe in that anymore. I don't believe in looking at the stock market as squiggly lines and people's emotions anymore. And this is why. Because the biggest customer in the stock market today is the Fed.
No.
How can you measure?
It's getting ready to go back down. You're right. There's a big drop coming.
Well, yeah, I believe there is, because, the Fed can't do it all.
No,
but right now, the only reason
that back to the question you asked me about belief in the dollar, it's a psychological thing, and that psychological thing is ending because people are realizing that there is no value behind a bunch of clicks on a computer.
Now. Yep, especially now they're realizing it when the economy is in a worse state today than it was back in 1929. We have more unemployment. We have all of these businesses closed, and it doesn't matter what caused it. It doesn't matter what pin pricked that bubble. You don't have to worry about that. But the fact is that our economy today is worse than what it used to be in the Great Depression. We've got, I think they came out with another 3.5 million jobs that were lost last week. I think it came out yesterday.
Over 50 million. 50 million.
I'm talking about just last week. You know how they measure it every week? Every Wednesday, the numbers come out. But last week, another 3.5 million.
Kitty bomb. You got your kitty bomb. Kitty bomb.
Oh, there she is. There's Pablo. She tries to do a cameo every video.
That's my shadow. I don't know where she is.
But like I was saying, people are going to start to wake up, because they're like, how in the world can the stock market be so high when the economy is at Great Depression levels?
Psychological manipulation.
Yeah, it's not real. It's not real. Okay, one more, Erin. Okay, we kind of already done this, but let me go ahead and ask you anyways. When I tell you economy, what do you think? What comes to mind?
I can think of a couple of thoughts. Old, dying, new, slowly emerging.
Right. And that was my last question on the speed round or word. But do you agree that once, I hate to say once this is all over, once this health crisis deal is over, right? Once they say, hey, good times are back, do you believe that our economy, that our businesses are going to be opening up at the same rate that they shut down? What percentage of businesses do you think will reopen? And I'm talking about like middle class, mom and pop restaurants. I'm guesstimating around 40 to 50% will reopen.
Less.
You think it's less?
See, all
Because
right.
we're
So Rudy, the answer to that is we are still on the downhill slope. It is still going downhill, and
yeah,
until we hit bottom, will we know how much is capable of sustaining itself in the worst conditions. So we still got real estate defaults. We still got auto loan defaults. We still got
credit card loans or
credit.
credit card.
We got an entire financial system that needs to finish collapsing. We've only
Sure.
started the collapse. The collapse is
Yeah.
nowhere near done. So, no. We got a long ways to go. That's going to take 3 to 4 years. Lots of people are going to die because of it. And, there's only one way to navigate it, and that's not to be dependent on anything that you can be, or at least with your food. So, it's just that simple, buddy. It's just that simple.
Look at this little girl.
I know, and she's
Hi.
so cute.
Say hello.
What's her name?
Pebbles.
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 She's got some cute little paws on her.
My wife and my daughter got her. My wife. Here we go. We'll finish it up with a funny little story. I'm a cat guy. Okay. Some people are dog people. I like kitty cats because when I grew up when I was a kid, my very first pet was a little cat. And so for years I've been telling my wife and my daughter I want a cat for Christmas. So for like the last 4 years I've gotten a cat for Christmas, but it was a stuffed cat, a little stuffed animal cat. And I think the year before last they got me, like Grumpy Cat that you see on the internet. I think he died a year ago. So they got me a huge grumpy cat about this big, and that thing sits on my dresser staring at me. So I've been like, so I gave up. I said, I don't want any more stuffed animals for Christmas, all right? And for Valentine's Day this year, I came home from work, and there was an Amazon box in front of my seat in the living room, and my daughter was like, Dad, you got a box. Go ahead and open it. And I'm like, oh, just a second. I got to, take my clothes off, do this, do that. I'll open it later. And like, no, open it now. I'm like, why do you want me to open it now? So they had her stuffed in there. So now I have a kitty cat. The only thing is that she likes my wife and my daughter more than me. I go to my wife and my daughter before she comes to me, but it's all good. It's all good. It's you know what, Aaron? It's the little things in life that you really have to enjoy.
Yeah. You gotta have a positive attitude. I know. Hell is running across the planet right now, but you gotta love life. You gotta love yourself, and you gotta love your higher power, and know that a higher power is supporting you if you're connected, and stay focused on what you can do. So, hey, Rudy, I got a challenge for you. So as soon as we're done with this one, I got a challenge for you. You up for it?
What's that? I don't know.
Oh no, yeah, you do. We talked about it. The challenge.
I was gonna say if it's running a 5K, then no, I'm not up for it.
No.
Not now. Sure. Yeah. We talked about that. Yes, we do, but I can't do that right after we get done here because we'll talk about that after we won't give it away. We won't give it away. We'll do that video later on, and then you can post it.
All right.
That way we won't give it away. We'll talk about that here later on.
Okay.
Anything else, Aaron, before we close out?
No, I think we're pretty good.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, Aaron, listen, had a great time talking,
yes.
And we'll do this again. later on in the future, maybe in a month or so when things progress a little. If you want to do this again, or
Yep.
I'll come to your channel
Yep.
and we can talk there. However it works. And I'm going to say this one last time. I know I said it a couple times already. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go ahead and check out Erin's channel, the name of her channel is the real Erin.scott. All right. I'm going to leave the link to your channel, Erin. Do you have any other social media that you use besides YouTube?
I stay away from all of it except for
I do
you.
too. Yeah, the only thing I have besides YouTube is a Facebook account because a lot of my community members go on there and share ideas and things like that. So I'll go ahead and make sure that I leave the link down in the description. That way you guys can go check it out. And Erin, again, thank you very much for joining. And it's really been a pleasure talking to you. I,
Oh, it's
I
always
know it's been
fun.
about a year and a half, 2 years since we talked.
Yeah.
So it's been too long. So, ladies and gentlemen, having said that, thank you very much for joining in today. Uh, this is kind of weird for me because I don't really do interviews, but this was a lot of fun. All right, I think I've done like 3 interviews in the whole time I've been doing YouTube, but this was a lot of fun.
You need
So,
to do
having
more.
said that again, yeah, having said that again, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to every one of you and your families. I'm the Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.
And I'm Erin.scott. And I'm out. I love y'all. Y'all take care. Bye bye.
All right.